Hey everyone, it's me, Sean Capri, and welcome to episode 129 of We the GamerCast. It's the official podcast of WeTheNerdy.com, and it comes to you every Monday on iTunes, Google Play, and mother-loving YouTube. Thank you for subscribing, hitting the thumbs up, and rating us on iTunes, leaving a comment, sharing with your friends. I think I might be a little too close to the microphone. Got a little excited. It's rare that the house is empty. That was a house is empty hey on a Sunday. But it's actually Monday for you. Guys, thank you for being here through all this nonsense. Black History Month continues. It's the pinkest guy on the internet bringing you a show dedicated to Black History Month this February. So take that as you will. And if you're new, here's the deal. Every week I have a sweet hangs with a stranger from the internet. We talk about video games and all that other stuff. And if you want to be part of the show, tweet at me. I am at Sean Capri, Sean like Connor Capri, like the pants. And this is brought to you by all of our patrons at patreon.com/makeusbetter, especially our platinum executive producer, Corey Hicks, and all of our gentlemen executive producers, Nick Milicia, Joel Brooks, James Johnson, Dr. Doom, Jesse Armstrong, Glauco, Shaffer, David Ray, Mike Drummie, Aaron Doherty, Martini Jean, and Mr. Moody. Mr. Moody, of course, coming from Mr. Badbit himself circle. And speaking of Mr. Badbit, I just recorded just maybe, an hour ago we just finished, with Mr. Joseph, starting a new show. I would say I'm trying to give you guys a sense of like what it is, and to say it's similar to this isn't really accurate. Like this is, it's just one-on-one, free-flowing, I guess in that way that it's similar. But it was cool, man, because like I don't really, aside from this rambling that you're getting right now, I don't typically get a chance to really just kind of go on and on. So it was fun. I felt awkward because I felt like I talked too much, and our Skype cut out maybe just a couple of times. So I'm like, I think this is still working. But if you guys ever just wanted to know like my origins of gaming and how I even got into podcasting, and gosh, we kind of covered the whole thing, like, and why Xbox. That seems to be a topic of conversation these days after last week's Gaming Gurus, where it's kind of like what I think the whole conversation is about. What is fanboyism? What does all that stuff mean? It was a really great conversation. So thank you, Joseph, for having me on the pilot episode. Look forward to that. And I don't know, I should have asked Joseph before I say this, but I'm sure just let him know you want to be on his show too. If you guys want to, I know there's a bunch of people who haven't started their own shows, but they love talking about video games. This is a great little circuit that you can go on. You can be on We the GamerCast. You can go on Growing Up Gaming. You can go on the Bad Bit Show. Gosh, all these different things. Just get on the guest pro circuit, guys. So I hope you enjoy all that. Thank you to Joseph, and thank you last week, Devin Tyus. I just want to give you a big old hug. What a lovable guy. This whole month is dedicated to Black History Month. My guest this week is Delvin Cox. I should have split those guys up. Devin, I got to be very careful. I got to get it right. Last week was Devin, this week is Delvin. And what a great conversation you guys are in for. But before we get to that, I wanted to let you know in case you missed it, Chelsea is streaming Fallout 4 on the youtube.com/WeTheNerdy, and it is awesome, dude. Like I showed my parents. We were at their place last night, and they've got this giant 70-inch TV that you can send like a Chromecast thing up to, and we had her stream going, and my parents are just sitting there trying to like understand. Like my dad's like, "Oh, is this your blog?" And I'm like, "Okay, well for starters, this like a blog is a written okay. No, this is just a game." Anyway, Chelsea has a really impressive Power Armor collection. She built like this giant warehouse, and she's got this stand and it's all lit, and like it's lighted, like it's not lit. It is lit. Would the kids say it's lit? So check that out. She'll be streaming more of that, and it's awesome to see. I love it. She's got her PlayStation set up by her computer. She's got lights and everything. She's got a great background. She's got all of the Amiibo, and she's got her like Funko Pops and everything set up there. It's amazing. I love it. So stop by, say hi whenever that goes. If you subscribe, you'll get the notification. So that's cool. Also, did anybody forget that the Olympics were happening? Because they just started like showing up on my TV, and I'm like, I wasn't really ready for this. I usually don't know, you get prepared. My dad would always put up like a Canada flag out front, and it was always a big deal. The Olympics always were huge, and I just have such great memories just dedicating whatever it is, 10 days or 2 weeks, to cheering for these sports that I've never really thought of since the last time the Olympics were on. Like, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I'm super passionate about speed skating. Like, holy crap, that's like the coolest thing I've ever seen. And snowboarding as well. And I'm glad that, you know, they had sort of like a pre-Olympics. They had like a day or two where that really caught me off guard. Olympics just started up without any opening ceremonies, and I felt I was all out of order. But now I'm in it. I spent yesterday just watching some snowboarding, and just like I was at the edge of my seat. And obviously it helps when your country is competing at a high level in that sport. I don't think Canadians are doing so great in the biathlon, which is really unfortunate. Maybe it's just we're not comfortable with guns. Like with the snow, we're good, but the guns, I don't know. So I'm loving the Olympics, and I hope you guys are enjoying it and everything that it represents. I just love seeing you look out in the crowd and there's people of all walks of life, all different flags, nationalities, and they're just all together and just cheering and being happy, and it's sport. And I love, it sort of reminds me of this show where it's like video games bringing people together. That's sports bringing people together no matter what is going on in the world. And I always get a little misty about that. Like, I really buy into what the Olympics represent. I also buy into, like, from an international standpoint, but also the training and dedication and if you put your mind to it, you can do anything part of it. And now with Lincoln sort of like looking at these are kids, really. These Olympians are 18, 19, 20-year-olds at like their peak performance. And I do get very inspired by that. These people have dedicated everything that they have to this moment, and I just think that is so cool. So I love the Olympics. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Good luck to all countries, especially Canada and whatever country you're cheering about. So that's good stuff, man. I was so into it yesterday. I wanted to play Steep. I almost bought the Olympic thing for Steep. I just want to get into it. Like, this is a cultural moment I want to celebrate in every way that I possibly can. I'm playing a little bit of Celeste. I was just on the phone with Johnny Casino. Hi, John. We were just talking a second ago, but now this is a day later for you. So you know this because I told you. I was a little, like, hesitant on my full-on recommendation when on the Xbox Drive last week. I had just dove into it, and I always get this weird thing whenever a game... Do you guys get this way? When people are talking about it like crazy, and they're like, this is the best game ever, and you're like, no, it's not. Like, my automatic reaction was like, there's no way it could possibly be that good. So my initial reaction was like, I get it, like, it's good. And what I found over the last couple of days was I just kept going back to it. Like, that I've got that in Monster Hunter, and I just keep clicking on Celeste. And the game makes me believe that I can beat it, and I'm starting to collect those strawberries, and it's really clever. Every chapter introduces something different, and you become a master at it, and it feels good. The dash is so great. It's $20. I do recommend this game. I feel like I'm pulling back on it only so that I don't sound exactly like everybody else who's like head over heels about it. If you like a challenge, and you like these 2D platformers, you got $20 to spare. All those add up to a purchase in my mind. And the last thing I would say is I'm somehow getting back into Call of Duty. I'm playing World War II on the multiplayer, and this double XP just gets me every single time. So I'm loving that. And if you guys, like, honestly, I was playing with Ben Butler, your Butler and mine, my Butler and yours. John, did you mess that up on the last show, by the way? I feel like it was backwards. This is just a conversation, apparently, between me and Johnny Casino. Anyway, if you guys want to play some multiplayer, let's do it. I was playing some Rocket League. Let's get on it. I like it. I need to play with Nathan Thomas, though. Goodness gracious, we got some bad timing. My guest this week from the Delvin Cox Experience is Delvin Cox, of course. You can follow him on Twitter at Delvin_Cox. Why don't we just go ahead and get right into it? Here he is, Delvin Cox. Black History Month continues. How you doing?
Good.
Yeah, what are you up to today?
Nothing.
Other than this.
And I was going to see my grandmother, go take care of her so she could nag me for several hours.
Can I tell you something? I was sort of like imagining you answering the Skype call, but like in like this really dark sort of like disco room with like a lot of like smoke and just attitude. Like you'd come on the show with like this big jacket and everything. I'm like, I don't know, there's something about the Delvin Cox Experience that like when I listen to it, there's so much attitude And there's so much, I don't know, like atmosphere, I guess is probably even the better word to say. Like, I don't know that I'm experiencing anything like it, man. So now we've lifted the veil. Everybody watching the video, you know, we're just a couple geeks.
Pretty much. Oh, if you can see this.
Oh, this is my move. We like to show shirts. Black Panther. Dude, that's a sweet shirt.
Thank you. Yes.
Where'd you get that?
I definitely. Where did I get this shirt? I don't know.
It just showed up one day. Dude, I'm this. You know what? I shouldn't even ask that kind of question because I don't know where my shirts show up. Like, my wife picks up most of the shirts. She's like, hey, I thought you'd like this nerdy shirt with all the Mario Kart characters on it. I'm like, you're right. I would like that.
This is disappointing because I just got this shirt like last week.
Oh.
I don't know where I got it from at all.
What's your closet like? Is it like a lot of geeky t-shirts and stuff like that?
Oh, my wife hates my clothes.
Oh, really?
I have all like Marvel and DC shirts.
Oh, so you're like, you play both sides.
Yes, I love Marvel, I love DC, I love all kind of geek culture things. I grew up with it. Like Marvel, DC, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, all that stuff. PlayStation, Xbox.
Dude, I want to get into all of that, all the geeky sides to you. But you know, I figured that I would. I don't know if anybody's ever done this to you. Have you ever gone onto anybody else's show and they steal your questions? Because I thought I would steal your questions, at least 4 or 5 of them, anyways.
The only thing I've had close to that was Chalfie one time came on the podcast and hijacked my podcast.
Oh, of course he did.
Just started asking me questions.
That's like Bobby and I. If never invite both Bobby and I onto your show. It's a mistake. Happening. It's a mistake. Oh, okay. Well, the funny thing is, I try to warn people, and they're like, "Challenge accepted," and it's not good.
I love you guys.
Thanks, man.
I love you.
We love you.
And I love Bobby. You guys are like Batman and Robin.
Oh.
It all, yeah, because it's like
I'll
Bobby's
take the
like
green
the straight
tights.
Man. Bobby's like the straight man. He had this serious demeanor, and then you're coming in like, what are you so serious for? And it's like,
I know.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
That's very true, actually, and it didn't start that way. That's for sure. When Bobby and I first met, we were both very serious. I wanted to make this a very professional podcast. Now it's like, whatever. And especially like when we started doing it for Nintendo, I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, man. Like, so I'll just make it up and crack jokes, and then he kicked me off the show and canceled it. So I guess that maybe I should have thought better strategy.
That broke my heart. I kid you. I was so upset.
You and me both, man. You and me both. But that's you know it. You put all of your eggs in various baskets, and eventually one of those baskets is gonna get turned over, and that's okay. Nintendo fixed themselves, man. Like they're perfect now.
They're not perfect.
I know, that was very facetious. After last week's Gaming Gurus, I'm not gonna talk smack about Nintendo anymore.
Oh, that was literally the most controversial episode ever.
Oh God, we gotta point you guys in the direction of some of Bobby and mine's earlier fights, man. There was one time I don't even know what hit me. I was a little sick and tired of hearing about image and form, and something went off the handle, man. It wasn't a good time. But I gotta find that one. We gotta maybe have like a Facebook memory will remind me of that, because that was one of the first ones. People were like, are you guys breaking up? Like, no, we're not breaking up, man. We'll divorce, but we won't break up. What is your favorite Black History Month moment, or Black History moment? That's a better question.
Well, either one is fine. One that I grew up with is seeing Obama elected.
What's that? You cut out a little bit, sorry.
Seeing Barack Obama get elected for the first time.
Yeah, man. So what was it like? Where were you when that happened? I imagine, like, it's funny because it wasn't that long ago, but just talking about memories, automatically the visual I have is you as a little child in front of like a big CRT TV, just like the glow. You're like sitting cross-legged, like open eyes, drop jaw. But like you're grown, like you voting.
My son was a little child, I think, but not me.
There you go. Oh, that's cool too, man. So you got to see it in a proud moment for you. And then also, like, was your son aware of sort of how big a moment that was?
Yeah, he was
How old
aware
is
of it. I want to say that was what, 2008?
Yep.
So like he was like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say that. Yeah, but it was cool because growing up, my family, like, let me just call out. My grandmother grew up in segregation times. My mom grew up in segregation times.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to see this big moment happen, something that it's like you wouldn't believe out of your wildest dreams. It's just an amazing thing. And I think people kind of take that for granted, even with the climate that we're in today.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that you can't take away. That happened.
Even when Darth Vader, have you seen the things going on with Trump going up into the helicopter or whatever, and his hair flies up and people are comparing it to Darth Vader when you see the back of his head for the first time? Oh my gosh, the universe works in strange ways, man. Yeah, that's a really good one. I think that you could go all the way back, and I like that it's like a recent one. That Black history doesn't necessarily have to mean back in the whatever, like you don't have to go that far back to go, man, like big things. What about like a future one will be when Oprah becomes president. Just go from like Obama to Trump to well, maybe The Rock. Who knows, man? Does that count?
See, the thing, yeah, Rock definitely counts.
Okay.
That's Black.
Forget about the Samoan stuff.
People always say that. Oh no, he's Samoan. Like his father is black.
Yep, half black, half Samoan. Everybody knows it.
Yeah. But
That's hilarious.
The thing about Black history is every day.
There you go.
People take that for granted in a sense where like every day something's happening. Mm-hmm. Right now we're making history.
Yep. I like it. Well, you know what? I take my coffee black. Does that count? Every day.
That definitely counts.
All right, I'll take it.
Wesley Snipes says always better on black. So
That's right. What's your favorite album?
Whew, my favorite album. That's
Do you ever ask these questions and go like, man, what would I ever say? This is a tough ass question. Like, I need to prepare for your show. If I ever came on your show, I'm like, I'm gonna have to listen to these damn questions. I don't know. Stop coming up that stuff at the top of your head.
It's kind of hard to say what's my favorite album because I listen to so much different music. Like for example, my favorite R&B album probably would be Michael Jackson Thriller.
Ooh, yeah, man.
I love Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan.
Mm-hmm.
But then my favorite hip-hop album would be Nas' Illmatic.
Okay, never heard that one.
You never heard of Nas?
Well, I know Nas. I never heard that album.
Illmatic is his first album.
It probably was playing in my house at one point. My brother listened to everything, man. I remember the first time my brother came home with like a Jay-Z album. I'm like, what in the world is this? Like everybody was into rap, and I'm like, I like Aerosmith. Aerosmith is real cool.
Yeah, I have a very diverse music taste. I like Madonna. I like Prince. I like Michael Jackson. I like Nas. I like Jay-Z. I like Aerosmith.
There you go.
Phil Collins. So,
dude, I remember like my parents had like these giant cases. First of all, they had like giant trunks with records in them. Like they just had, I don't even know, like Supertramp and all this other stuff. It was crazy. Probably like 300 or 400 records. Like these things like you could sit on like with 4 of your buddies and just sit on this trunk, and it was like it was made out of metal, and you just like open this thing up and it had like 2 rows of records. So my parents were really big into music. And then as records went away and like then I came into the picture, they moved on to cassettes. They had these briefcases that you'd have like, and they were all like, there was a mix of things that they actually bought and things that they sort of like, I actually don't even know how they did this, but they were all like bootleg cassettes. Like my first Michael Jackson album was like a bootleg. It was just like, it was like a recordable cassette tape. And they wrote I'm sure it was Thriller. They wrote Michael Jackson Thriller on the side. And it wasn't until, gosh, probably early 90s when I went to like, did you guys have HMV? Like, where do you buy your records from? Like, where
Sam Goody's.
Yeah.
Places like that, FYE. But the thing about it is also, see, I don't know if you guys had this in Canada, but in Miami, there used to be a huge like bootleg community.
Oh yeah. No, we not as big, definitely not as big, but I know what you're talking about.
But well, you can go to like the flea market, and you can go buy the mixtapes or.
That's awesome.
Maybe
they did. Maybe that's where they came from.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where my parents got them. Can you talk to me about the first time that you like when? Maybe it's different. Maybe it's just a different upbringing. I was very confused by Michael Jackson, and I don't think I'm the only one, because I'm flipping through, by artists, all the albums are like put together, and I'm going through like Michael Jackson. Okay, Dangerous. Okay, there he is. That's the Michael Jackson I know. Going back, who's this guy? Who's this black guy on the Michael Jackson cover?
See, I never had that problem.
So
because I followed him for
okay, but what would he change then? So it was opposite. So I knew him as a white guy first, and then or as white skinned. What? How was that explained to you? Try to walk me through your experience with Michael Jackson.
It's kind of like it wasn't never really explained to me. It's kind of like, okay, this is what's going on because. Mm-hmm. At first, when I was younger, I thought it was because of the Pepsi accident.
Oh, because he got burned.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And I've had family members who had got burns and things like that, and their skin turned white from it. Mm-hmm. So I just thought it was because of that and plastic surgery and things like that.
That's the thing. And I don't know without the internet to confirm, we all just made up our own stories. Yeah. It seemed like everybody had their own story about Michael Jackson back then. And
did you get a chance to look at the article Quincy Jones had did this past week?
No.
Well, Quincy Jones did this. It's been big news all over Twitter and everywhere. Uh-huh. He did a big interview, and one of the things he said in the interview was that he used to chastise and criticize Michael Jackson for bleaching his skin and getting all this plastic surgery because he thought it was stupid. Mm-hmm. And he said Michael Jackson had issues with his looks because his parents, his dad specifically used to always call him ugly. Mm-hmm. So I guess it was more of a,
deep-rooted stuff, man. That's the thing. It's just it's so sad that he's gone. Like, he actually passed away right around the same time as my wife's dad passed away. Oh, and I just remember hearing it going and I hadn't met her yet, so I only knew about Michael Jackson at the time, going that's not real. What he was gonna he was getting ready for his concert and everything. I remember buying This Is It afterwards and just going we are now missing one of the all-time great talents on this planet. The top fraction of a percent. In my opinion, I think Michael Jackson is one of the all-time greats. And watching just watching him on that. Have you seen it? This Is It?
I bought it the first day it came out. I love that movie.
Isn't it amazing? He's just so particular, and he knows exactly, but he still came across as a team player and not, I don't know, the most humble egomaniac I've ever seen, if that's even possible. He's just so in touch with his craft and surrounds himself with the best dancers and musicians and everything. Just the way he was kind of and it goes pop, 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 and he had, I don't know, he's just, I love that. That is just such a, I miss it a lot, dude.
Yeah, it was watching that movie is literally watching a genius at work.
That's it.
You see, watching him his moves is hold up, this is how you do this. He was stopping songs and such a perfectionist. It's it was cool.
And it's so natural. And I'm I would sit there and think about, okay, so if I do this with my arm and then I do and it's just off. There's no way. That's why I'm not Michael Jackson.
I'm gonna give you a little insight about me.
Okay.
When I was a little kid.
That's the whole point of this.
I was probably 6 years old. Mm-hmm. Maybe a little bit older than that. I used to have dreams. Have you ever seen the little thing they always show with Michael Jackson when he's moonwalking on stage? Mm-hmm. When he in the Billie Jean outfit.
Yeah, of course.
I used to dream that I was next to him doing that.
Yeah, man. I think we all did. Honestly, I had dreams of him coming to my school and doing a concert. I wanted him to come to our school and just and be we would, as if you could hire Michael Jackson or something. If you just asked him to come, he would do it. That's where I was as a kid. I remember we used to talk about that all the time. There, we just loved Michael Jackson. He was just larger than life. And I remember even the Super Bowl. When he did the Super Bowl, and that was the craziest thing. He had his, pretty sure he had his golden shin pads and everything. He looked he was this hockey player with golden equipment. And I remember it's just that was such a crazy deal. And if you ever look back now, it just wasn't. It was still the 90s. We didn't know how to do spectacle, but we thought we did. And so now, now we do spectacle. Now it's this crazy huge. You watch the Olympics. They just had their opening ceremonies. That's spectacle. This was this. It seemed like an empty stadium, and he's just kind of he's doing his dance moves. And it's Michael Jackson. It's enormous. But imagine now. Imagine if he lived in this time, and it'd be crazy, dude. Delvin, next question, man. PS4, Xbox, or Switch? I love your questions. This is great. I mean, just every show.
I'm going to go PS4.
How come, man?
But I love all 3 systems.
Okay, there it is. Okay. How come PS4?
Because I kind of came
Let's
up
fight.
on PlayStation. I kind of came up on PlayStation. From the PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, Vita, PSP. It's my home. It's what I know.
So like, where did it come in? Like, were you playing Nintendo before that, or was that like that was your on ramp?
I was playing Nintendo before that. I had the NES, the SNES, but I kind of fell off of Nintendo around the time of the N64 and GameCube.
Okay, yeah, actually, so did I. And like, okay, how old are you?
37.
Okay, so we're in the same. Actually, I was talking to Drooping Millen, and he was about the same as you too. So you and my brother would have been like exactly. So which actually puts me kind of right with you. That's kind of why I say like we're not that far off, because with my older brother and his best friend back when we were growing up was the same age. So a lot of whatever he was playing, I was playing, even if it was like too early for me. It didn't really matter. And so I think that I had like a similar trajectory with the GameCube as well. Like, I don't know about you, I looked at that thing for like 1 second and I thought, it's kind of stupid. Like, I didn't even know anything about the games on it. I looked at the controller. I hated the controller. I didn't like that. I didn't like the shape of it. I didn't like the color of it. I didn't like the size of it. I didn't like the fact that it was called the GameCube. Like, I didn't like it. I thought it was too on the nose even. Oh, good for you. It's a cube.
What happened with me was when you played, because it started with PlayStation 1. When you played PlayStation 1, the games over there felt more mature. Like one of the first games that came out with it, the first games I got for it was Resident Evil.
Ooh, yeah, man. It's hard to imagine. It's hard to remember that we'd never seen that before. Like, Resident Evil is just part of our lives now. I'm trying to remember, like, we're playing Resident Evil for the very first time. Like, you pop that disc in, and you press power, spins up, zzz, and then Resident Evil, and you're like, oh, crap. Turn on the lights. Seriously, I can't do this in the dark. And then, yeah, it became like this, like, horror became a genre. Like, I'm trying to think of, was horror even a thing prior to that?
It was a thing, but it wasn't really a thing. It was kind of niche. Like, you had games like, what's the game? It's a game that came out before that was Resident Evil was based off of.
Oh, see, and that's the thing. Like, I'm trying to, like, even as I said, like, trying to remember playing Resident Evil for the first time. Like, what was our precedent for that? Somebody please help us. But
it's a game. I can't remember the name of the game. But it's like, a game. It's a Japanese game that Resident Evil was actually based off of.
On which system? Like, was it on PlayStation just before that?
I think it's on Famicom or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's. Let me see.
I think it was based on the ghost houses in Mario.
Yeah, I think it's Ghost House.
I'm just kidding. I have no idea.
I think it's called Ghost House.
Oh, there you go. But what is
it? Ghost House?
It have to be based on zombies. I don't know, man.
I'm gonna look this up. No, I don't look it up now. Somebody message Sean and let him know what game Resident Evil was based off of.
So am I coming through your speakers, by the way?
Yeah.
Can you turn me down just a little bit so that I don't come through the microphone as well? I'm hearing myself just a little bit. I'm just gonna leave this part in just so people can know. And then I get really close to the microphone.
Do the Bane voice.
I'll leave. No, actually, well, I should get Devin back on. Have you done a show with Devin?
Not yet. I need to. And also, PSVG. Why have y'all not ever had me on any of y'all podcasts?
I don't know.
Shame.
Honestly, I thought you guys were part of the same uprooting. Like were you part of the Married to the Games crew? Like, is that? I'm trying to place. Where the hell did you come from? Like,
okay, I listened to the one with Dev last week.
Yeah.
So I can give you insight on that. I was a big fan of Married to the Games.
Okay.
And how did I find Married to the Games? Believe it or not, Gabe.
Yeah, man.
Favorite
Black History Month moment.
I remember like yesterday. I was watching Arrow, I think it was, and I was commenting on Arrow because I love Arrow. And Gabe commented back to me from the Married to the Games Twitter, and me and him was conversating and things like that, and we had a lot of things in common. He's like, "Hey, you should follow us, listen to our podcast." So I listened. I loved it. I've been a fan ever since.
Man, that guy put in the time and work and effort because, Like, they went around and just found people who they thought would listen. Like, hey, come on and you know how much work that takes? Like, I don't know, I feel like everybody I talked to got like that same message from Gabe back in the early days. Like, we're married to the games, we're a podcast, listen to it here. And I remember thinking, like, the ball's on this guy. I'm not listening to this damn show. And then I got more and more obsessed with podcasts and stuff. And I'm like, okay, which ones am I going to add? Oh, yeah, that guy messaged me about married to the games. And I was doing some renovations in my basement at the time. I think I got time. I can just set my phone down and just work away at some baseboards down here.
And I've always liked it because they all come off as friends. Mm-hmm. And not only that, it's clean.
Mm-hmm.
So, usually I used to listen to stuff like Podcast Beyond and Kind of Funny and stuff like that. And it's hard to listen to that stuff when you're around your kids because it can get explicit really fast. And my kids aren't like little kids. They're like 10 and 12.
They know. Yeah. They know enough to copy, and they're like, oh, that's a word that I would like to say, but I am not allowed to say that. Yeah, and I'm sure I got to start watching myself with Lincoln. Like, we're still like with the dogs too, and just with video games and stuff playing around, and every now and then a word slips. Like, maybe I should. You don't want to definitely
let that word slip around the dog.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the dog will be. They probably, that's probably why they bark. They're actually just swearing back at me all the time. Stupid dogs! They bark at me every time I come in the damn door. It drives me nuts.
I got some extra to say about that.
Okay.
Okay. My grandmother has a parrot that stays with me.
What?
And this parrot talks all day.
What? Okay. Yes. Tell me about this. What is this parrot talking about?
I'm not going to say the word, but during random points of the day, the parrot will just blurt out curse words.
No way. Dude, that's like right out of a movie.
Yeah.
What does it say?
F you. So if you're trying to sleep at night and all of a sudden 2 o'clock in the morning you hear, F you.
Just out of nowhere?
Out of nowhere.
This is a jackass.
Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Get out of here. Like, what is it? Oh my God, I hate this bird.
How long is it staying with you?
Like
forever? Like you've adopted this parrot?
Essentially, yes. I take care of the parrot for her. So.
I don't know if I've ever met anybody who had a parrot before. This is a first for We the GamerCast.
Yeah, and the worst thing about it is I can't murder the bird.
Obviously.
Because the bird's like $10,000. So if anything happens to this bird, it's like a horrible thing.
Why does it cost so much?
Okay. Let me get to the story of that.
Okay.
My uncle is an owner. You ever heard of White Castle?
Yeah, man.
Okay. In South Florida, in the South, they had something called Royal Castle.
Okay.
It's very similar to White Castle.
Mm-hmm.
And they used to be all over South Florida and all over, this is a little history too. Mm-hmm. So it adds into the Black History Month.
Let's do it.
It used to be all over South Florida, Georgia, all in the southern states. So, as of course, like businesses do, they started going out of business. So my uncle, who's my grandmother's brother,
mm-hmm.
bought a whole bunch of the Royal Castle before they went out of business.
Oh.
So, as of right now, he owns the last Royal Castle in Florida. Well, the last Royal Castle, period, anywhere.
And is this like a destination now? Like, is people trying to keep it alive kind of thing? Or is it just clinging to life?
It gets pretty good business. People go there a lot. And they have Castle Burgers, which is like White Castle Burgers, very, very similar to White Castle.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Just no Harold and Kumar.
Exactly.
Mm.
So, the cool thing about it is that he bought it. Like I said, he became a business owner during the time of segregation and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Black guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he came up from the company for working for them, basically from making burgers to owning the business.
Yeah. Holy cow.
So it's a pretty cool success story. He's very rich. This guy takes trips to Africa all the time and everything like that. And during one of his journeys, he bought a parrot. Mm-hmm. Well, he bought several parrots. And he happened to give the loudmouth one to my grandmother.
Oh my God, this is the best thing I ever heard.
The jerk parrot goes to my grandmother.
Hang on a second. What is it like taking a parrot out of Africa and back here? Is this like a Madagascar type of incident where it's all accident?
Yeah, so
you find these animals on this great adventure. He just ends up with one back in the States. You got a zebra in there too.
It's crazy because, I've never been around a parrot before that.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I have to take care of this parrot. He's annoying. And my grandmother loves this parrot to death. She'll sit there and talk to him for hours. She'll make him dance for her and all these things.
I like to picture that it sounds like Gilbert Gottfried. That makes me happy just thinking about that.
and as soon as she leaves the room, F you.
Oh my! See, that's pretty good Gilbert Gottfried right there, man. Although maybe it sounds more like is it a female? The voice you're doing sounds like an angry old woman.
It's a male because my grandmother sounds like an old woman, so he tries to talk like her.
That is so funny. What's his name?
Dundee.
It's gotta be Yago. We gotta change to Yago. This has gotta be. Gotta make this an Aladdin reference. No matter what. Hey man, okay, so you mentioned going taking multiple trips to Africa. What is your heritage? Like what's your lineage?
I'm straight African American.
Yeah.
Straight African American from the hood.
Oh, I'm like,
yeah.
So like you don't go further back than just America, but you're how far back how long has your family been here?
Well, my family been here as long as I know. The only thing about it is my dad's family I don't know that much about, but I know my dad's family is Bahamian. So I have Bahamian in me.
Okay.
For the most part, my family is Southern black people.
Yeah.
They grew up in North Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot of country people in my family and things like that.
Mm-hmm. What was growing up like for you?
It was interesting because my grandmother's always been a successful woman.
Mm-hmm.
So she always took care of us, but I grew up in mostly the projects and the ghettos and the hoods.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because my mom was a single mother. She was doing what she could to make best for our family and things like that. It was me, my brother, and my little sister.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was always funny because, when you don't have much, you don't miss much.
Okay, I get it. And you were the oldest? Did you say both those were younger than you?
No, my brother's older than me.
Your brother's old. So is he taking care of everybody? Like, are you guys all picking up some slack, playing your roles and stuff? Like, I imagine you grow up quicker than most kids in that kind of situation.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of weird because all three of us have completely different personalities.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like my brother's always been that guy who likes. He always into police stuff and his favorite superhero is the Punisher.
Nice.
And stuff like that. So since he was a kid, he wanted to be a cop.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always more like the creative type. And I love music. I loved art and things like that. So another interesting fact about me is I used to do music.
Mm-hmm.
I used to produce music for people. I used to write rap and things like that.
That doesn't surprise me at all. That's the attitude and atmosphere I'm talking about. The Delvin Cox Experience, man. Like that is a podcast created by a musician for sure.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool because
nice.
I had my more outgoing personality, and I used to write music. I used to produce music and things like that. And my little sister was kind of more of she's not a wild child, but she was kind of sheltered in a sense because by the time my sister became a high schooler, my mom already had met my stepfather, and he had a good job. He always took care of us, so we kind of had it good from there. So she didn't have to go through a lot of the things me and my brother had to go through.
Right, that makes sense. What was it like in meeting him?
Oh, he's a great man. My stepfather's a great man. You know how you usually have the horror story, the people I hate my stepdad, I hate my stepmom.
Mm-hmm.
Not the case for them whatsoever.
Yeah.
I love him to death. I treat him like my dad.
How did you meet him? How was he introduced to you?
I think I was 12.
Yeah.
We just moved in with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And the cool thing about it is he's a country guy.
Mm-hmm.
So he likes going fishing and things. He's from Alabama. He likes going fishing, and he loves wrestling.
Nice.
But the cool thing about it, when I was a kid,
I
only knew about WWF wrestling.
Yeah.
He introduced me to WCW.
There it is. Yeah, man. That was alternative. Oh man, you know what you're talking about if you're into WCW.
Yeah, so he introduced me to guys like Ric Flair.
Yeah, man.
Then, that was right before the whole big thing with WCW became a huge thing with the NWO and stuff like that. So, me watching WCW, I got to see all that stuff happen and just watched it with him.
That's awesome. So was he like young at heart kind of guy? Like, or it sounded like he was very just like, if you're, I don't know, for me, somebody who is outdoorsy is maybe a little older at heart, but I don't know if that's different, just depending on where you are.
He's a very kind person.
Yeah.
And I guess he understood. So from the gate, once he married my mom, he took me in like his son. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, when I was a kid, I used to get a lot of wrestling video games.
Yeah, man.
And he doesn't know how to play video games at all, whatsoever. Mm-hmm. But because I was his son in a sense, okay, let's play this game together.
I love it.
So he would sit for hours and play WWE Raw with me, or these WCW games for SNES and N64 and things like that, just to spend time with me.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
And I always appreciated that.
That sounds really, I mean, like, you kind of describe growing up in the projects and have, like, I feel like you just breezed over that. Like, is this like it didn't leave too many, like, you guys, it seems like you just deal with it. Like, it seems
that's kind of what it is, because, when you grow up around in there, like I said, if you grow up in a bad area,
what's bad though? But that's the thing. Like, that's like, I'm trying to get into this, if that's okay, just for a second. I still have a few other your questions I want to copy, but
okay.
I want to dive into this too, because definitely for me, this is not like, I joke about growing up on the north side of my city was a disaster, but it's not the projects. Like, I still lived in a house, but like when I was in grade 7, so 11, 12 years old, I was thrust into this junior high where it was very racial, but on like where everybody clicked together. So for me, the ambiguous pink person, like trying to figure out like where you land in this was like, I didn't even know any of this was even a thing. Like, I didn't even know that, like, they always say, like, people aren't born with hate in their hearts, they learn it. And this is where kids would learn the hate, was this stupid ass junior high school where the Italian kids would sit together and the Portuguese kids would sit together and the Spanish kids, like, it was basically like a lot of like Western Europe racism essentially. Well, and like by 12 years old, I knew all the slurs. That's awful. So I'm trying to, tell me about you, man.
When I was in junior high school, I went to a predominantly black junior high school, but there was a lot of Spanish and white people there. Mm-hmm. So these are dumb kids were. Very stupid kids. Mm-hmm. And if you're a kid listening to this podcast right now, never participate in anything like that.
Yeah, man. Like
what I'm finna say. Because this is horrible. They had something in the school called Cracker Day.
Yep.
Have you ever heard of this kind of notion?
Nope. I can imagine what is about to be described, but yeah, go for it.
Like I said, what I'm finna tell you is horrible. Mm-hmm. Where these black kids will go around and beat up random white kids. Mm-hmm. Just because they're white. Mm-hmm. So, me being the kid I was, I used to have a lot of friends who were white.
Yeah.
So when this would happen, I would have to go out and like, hey, defend them. Like, hey, leave him alone.
Yeah.
Do not put your hands on him. Do not touch him. Mm-hmm. Or we're going to have problems. And now, I'm a scrawny little black kid with big old glasses on.
Like don't make me put my Marvel comics down. I would like to break up this fight.
But I was always the kid, like, even when I was a younger kid, I never backed down from a bully.
Yeah, good for you.
I always stood up to him, so people respected me. So when I sat there and said, hey, leave him alone, he's cool, they generally listened. Because they knew if they didn't listen, we were going to fight. And whether they beat me or not, it's going to be a long day for you. Mm-hmm. So, and it's because I don't know why that became a thing. Thank God they don't do things like that anymore. I don't think, to my knowledge, but you don't want to see, like I said, I've always been the guy who fought for the little guy. Mm-hmm. And I hate seeing stuff like that where people just use violence for no reason.
Yep.
So it hurts to like mention it because me thinking about it, like it greatly bothers me now that I think about it. Like when you think about it, like you think like, okay, these are just stupid kids, but it's something that led to that. They see things that happen to their parents, and they just blame white people for it. And not a lot of times it's not just white people that's doing wrong to you. People don't grasp that, so they come up with stupid things like this. Oh, we're gonna just beat up random white people because they think they did us wrong.
Yeah.
And people don't take the consideration of like, hey, it's other problems that could have caused this. It's not just the color of your skin.
So it sounds like you had like a really strong like moral compass at a very young age. Like where did that come? Is that your mom?
My grandmother.
Grandmother, yeah.
My grandmother mainly, because it just knowing right from wrong.
Yeah, yeah. It's as simple as that, isn't it?
Yeah, people always say, "Oh, things can be taught," but you can also teach yourself the right way. Mm-hmm. Just by watching TV and you see like, not to be funny, watching shows like Barney or Sesame Street, they say, "Hey, this is wrong." Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Whether you liked it or not, that stuff gets embedded in your head.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you're watching it for 12 hours a day, right? What about for your kids now? Like how, like is it? You mentioned it's not exactly like the same environment growing up, or like the same dynamics maybe of race, or is it like what is it like for your kids growing up? Like what mix of kids are they hanging out with? Like what faces them in school and things like that on the playground?
Well, my daughter doesn't have that problem because, okay, for those who don't know, my wife is Hispanic. Mm-hmm. She's Nicaraguan. So my kids are both mixed kids.
Yep.
So my
Which
daughter
automatically makes them gorgeous, by the way.
Thank you. They are adorable. But my daughter is more my complexion.
Okay.
So she really doesn't run into problems. Mm-hmm. But my son is a little fairer skinned. Mm-hmm. And he looks Hispanic. He has like curly hair and things like that. So because of how he looks, he was having problems in school. A lot of kids were trying to tease him and bully him.
Yep.
And knowing that, like I said, it's
because he looks different because he goes to a predominantly black school and he looks different from them, or because he looks different from his sister or from you? Like where?
Yeah, because he looked different from his sister.
Yeah.
Because it's not the school he went to, because he doesn't go to the school, it wasn't necessarily predominantly black. Mm-hmm. But because it was in an underprivileged area.
Okay.
And I always make sure my kids are taken care of. So my son would go to school with Jordans and looking nice and things like that. Mm-hmm. And I think, when you, how do I say this? Okay. It's hard for kids to see my son getting picked up from school from his dad.
Yep.
And their dad not coming.
Mm-hmm.
Because I noticed when I used to pick them up, a lot of times, these kids would stare at me, and some of the kids would come and just want to talk to me and things like that. And I'd always have time for the kids. But I think, it takes a toll on kids to see a kid coming out happy.
Yeah.
Hey, my dad's here.
Why can't I be happy?
Here. Mm-hmm. It's weird to say that, but it's reality. Like a lot of kids, not necessarily black kids or white kids. This is just kids in general don't have both their parents in the house.
Yeah. So how is it for you now? I mean, you've seen both sides of it. You've been raised by your mom. You've been taken care of by your grandma. Like, is it still is your mom still heavily involved in your family now in that way? Like, that I'm always interested in that with keeping we would call it extended family. I don't know if you call that a core family still. Like grandparents would be extended and cousins would be extended family, which is always like I was always kind of a little jealous of people who had their core family that like the brothers of the parents and the parents of the parents all still together. Like my parents ended up moving to a place where that just wasn't even possible. Like my mom's family is a 15-hour drive away. Like they're so far away. And, I love spending time with them. But is that the environment that your kids grow up in now is still, or is it just you and your wife? Or like how far does the family reach?
Pretty much see their family almost every other day. Like my grandmother, they see every day.
That's the thing. Look how important is that though to you? Like I don't even know if you've ever really even thought of it, just because that's just life for you. But like when I guess maybe you've seen the alternative in both in your own life, and then you see it with these kids too, that they're waiting for their dad to show up. And like, do you ever think that their dad just never shows up? Like, what do you think these kids face?
They probably face not having a dad, or their dad's not always around, and it sucks when you don't have a father figure or a mother figure, for that matter, to help guide you. I've been through it. I grew up without my dad most of the time, not necessarily by his choice, but just by circumstances. And I've watched my mom try to supplement that, like watch my mom like dating different guys, trying to have a father figure for us.
Mm-hmm. And did you know at the time that that's kind of like what she was going for? Like now you can see it as a grown man. You can look back and go like, that's probably what she was intending for, like to have a father figure or that role in the house. But did you know as a kid that like that's what was happening, or like I just love to know what that experience is like for you.
As a kid, I had a kind of an idea.
Yeah.
But I kind of in retrospect, I fully see it now. Like, okay, she was looking for, not only she was looking for love, but she was looking for somebody who can take care of her family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, to her credit, she did what she could. She made, like I said, we never went hungry. We never went without clothes. And like my grandmother played a big part in that. Mm-hmm. And she, you know, I can't complain about how I grew up. Mm-hmm. I literally can't. You know, I just take the cards I was dealt. And for the most part, I was dealt good.
And that doesn't surprise me at all. You seem like the type of person who just can like take whatever situation and go, this is awesome. This is the best time of my life. Like whatever's happening right now, this is amazing. Like even when we were just chatting on Twitter, I'm just like, I just get such a great vibe from Delvin, man. This is so awesome. Like there's just so much positivity. I want to get into. I just want to make sure that I think I missed a couple of your questions. Oh, yes. How could I forget? What's the dumbest thing you ever did as a kid?
I did a lot of dumb things as a kid. Okay.
I love this question, man. Where does it even
I'll
come
give you
from?
a good story.
Okay.
I don't think I've never told on my podcast anywhere else. Okay.
We the GamerCast.
Me and one of my best friends.
Mm-hmm.
His name's, I'll give his nickname. His name's Scooter. We have the same first name. Mm-hmm. We were going to a check cashing store. This was a long time ago. We were young. To go cash his check for work. Mm-hmm. So, while we were at this check cashing store, we see this young lady crying and stuff with all her bags, and she's like, "Oh, I have nowhere to go. I'm stuck on the streets. I was supposed to catch a bus home." Mm-hmm. And she's crying and stuff. So me and my friend are talking to her and stuff. She's like, "I don't know what to do." So my friend Scooter says, "Why don't you stay with Delvin?" Like, what?
Yeah. So what happened?
So, and she's like, "Yeah, can I stay with you?" And this is the time I had my own place. And like, oh. Yes, you can come stay with me.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
So she stays in the house with me and stuff like that. I sleep in my spot. She sleep in her house. The next day, she doesn't want to leave.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, "I love you. Mm-hmm. You're so amazing. Mm-hmm. Can I stay here? We can be married. We can have a family." Like, I don't know you. Mm-hmm. Go away. And she stayed for like 4 days.
Come on.
My aunt had to come to the house and basically get her out and tell her, my nephew doesn't love you. She doesn't want to be with you. He was trying to be nice.
Oh, no. What did she do?
She just stayed there and hung out there.
Oh, that doesn't sound like real. That's no way that's real life. That's a TV show. That's a movie. Like that doesn't happen.
It was crazy. Like, "Oh, you're my boyfriend," and she wanted to cook food. It's like, no, get out of my house.
Oh no! How does this happen to people?
She did not want to leave, and then even when she left, right, my auntie finally got her to leave, finally peacefully and things like that. She would pass by my house with this old guy. Mm-hmm. "This is my new boyfriend. Hope you're not jealous."
Oh my God! It's like she's gonna get you killed. She's gonna piss off the wrong ex, and just like, dude, man, I just wanted to cash my check.
And I'm like, and I'm messaging my friend while this happened, like, "You jerk."
Oh my God! You should have ponder off on him. Like, "Hey man, I gotta peace out." But well, so
I should have dropped off his house.
That would have been even better, man. She'd have had good like home cooked meals. The parents. That'd be hilarious, dude. Hey man, why don't we get into? Tell me about the Delvin Cox. I want to know about this show. I obviously just ripped off all of your questions, which I love, and I remember listening to when Bobby was on, thinking just like, this is hilarious, dude. Like, because you obviously have such a diverse range. The first question of like, what's your favorite album is like, what a great question. Like, I don't even know. I think you phrase them as like icebreaker type of questions. Like you get right into it, and like knowing somebody's favorite album is just such a, it says so much about somebody, whether it's kind of like your favorite game, I guess. Like it's kind of like, kind of introduces, it talks about when did you first get into it. I don't know how many people say my favorite game is this, and it's not within the first 5 years of them playing video games. Like, I don't know. Did you ever get that? Because you asked that question as well. Do you get a lot of, does it skew more early on? Like people say like Mario, or like my favorite game was one of the first ones I ever played. Or is it, or are there games where like my favorite game is, I don't even know, Destiny?
It happens. You know, it's, people are interested. Like you said, one of the reasons why I asked what a person's favorite album is because you just simply, you know what kind of music they like. You get a feel for, okay, this guy's a rock and roll guy.
Yeah, but you always know. That's the thing that I find fascinating, is that like you can ask that kind of question, and like if I were to ask, like I asked a question today, and you're like I like this Nas album. I'm like, I never heard of it. But you always know.
I'm gonna send you Nas album, by the way.
What's that?
I'm gonna send you Illmatic.
Okay, I have Apple Music. I just get it. Let's. I'm gonna be a bad podcaster if I ended up doing that right now. But that's the thing that I find like really amazing, is that you ask questions that are like completely open ended, but still you find like the common ground, and that's a pretty special thing, dude. Like to ask a question that you could get any response, and you're like, yeah, I know that. Let's talk about that. That's pretty crazy, man. So how long have you been doing the Delvin Cox Experience? Because I feel like it came up out of something else.
It did.
Yeah. So tell me about the journey with the show, man.
Okay. Originally, the podcast I used to do was called the Mic Drop Podcast. It was with me and one of my best friends, Al. But as we were doing it, he was going through a lot of personal problems. Like his girlfriend is sick. He's having medical conditions, so he wasn't able to do the podcast. And not only that, it was affecting the podcast itself. And the whole premise of the Mic Drop Podcast was Al is kind of out there. Al's one of those conspiracy theory guys. He was in the military and things like that. So he'll say, like, I would ask him a question. He'll say wild stuff. Yep. Like, I asked him about Trump and like, hey, how did you feel about what Trump said? Oh, that's fine. People should stop being people. You know, and it's like, I've always respected him for his opinions and how he thought, his outlook on things. And he'll start asking about UFOs and aliens and all kind of wild things. Government's doing this, government's doing that, people doing this. He had such a unique take on things. Yeah. And once he started going through his problems, it got to the point where, like, I can't do this podcast without him because this is what we kind of built together. So I kind of wanted to make a podcast that personifies that in a sense, but was more about me. That's why it's called the Delvin Cox Experience, because you can't take away my name. I wanted to have something that was more about me, and not only about me, but me talking to people and get different experiences. Because me talking to Al always was a different experience because he has so many stories and insight to tell about things he went through in his life. Yeah.
What a great thing to say about somebody, dude. I don't know how many people can describe their co-host in that way without making it sound like they're absolutely insane. It's like if you have like Alzheimer's, you're like discovering things for the first time every day. Like, look at this cup. What a nice cup. Like, dude, this is the same cup as yesterday. You just don't remember.
Yeah. Everything about Al was interesting because every time you talk to him, you're seeing a little bit of a different light. Because he'll say some things, a lot of things he's right about. Yeah. But he's not going to just take things for face value. Like, for example, I think we had one. Like, our first episode was why people hate on God.
Oh, wow. That was your first episode?
Our first episode of the Mic Drop Podcast.
Okay.
So, his father was a preacher, if I'm correct. So, he brought an insight on it that a lot of people wouldn't.
So, he was the son of a preacher man.
Yes, exactly.
Great song. That song in my head.
But, yeah, so he brought a different insight on it. A lot of people liked that episode because it was so... Like, I believe in God. I don't want to say I'm a Bible thumper like that, but I always like to hear people's opinions, the people who don't believe in God, people who do believe in God, hear their takes on it.
I think that's fascinating, man. I think your first episode's about to get a bump in listeners, because I want to check that out, man. You're gonna be like, who's listening? It's like, it's me. I definitely want to check that out. That's awesome. So it kind of went from there. Like, you guys were like, it wasn't even just video games.
No, we rarely talked about video games.
Yeah. But did you want to do video games? Was that part of it too? To dive back into the Delvin Cox experience? Because like you still have a mix there too.
Yeah, I love video games, but Al's not as advanced in video gaming as I am. That's why we never did video. We never really touched on video games. But with the Delvin Cox Experience, I wanted to talk to everybody I knew and people about things that I love. So video games has always been a big part of what I love. So that's why you get interviews with people like Bobby and people like Joey. So many people.
You gotta get Devin on there, man. Come on.
Devin's got to come on the podcast, definitely.
Honestly, I just want to give him a big hug. Yeah, Devin, if you're listening, man, I just want and it reminds me of a friend that I went to high school with and I'm still good friends with today. And it was like talking to an old friend last week, even though it was the first time I'd really had a conversation with him. It was just so familiar. I just love that guy.
Yeah, Devin's awesome. And Coach Mo's awesome too. And I'll give you a little insight. I was supposed to be on their podcast, one of their first guests. And my grandfather died.
Oh, I did not think that's where that was going. I'm sorry, man.
So I missed it. I'm like, damn. So I got to get back on their podcast.
Wait, you were damn about the podcast, or you were like, damn about your.
Of course, I was bummed out by my grandfather.
Granddad, come on, man.
Pick another week.
Pick another week.
Yeah,
It's the funniest thing I ever heard.
This is my shot.
I'm supposed to be on the podcast. You're always messing things up for me with your slow walking and your early dinners and your dying. Gosh. Oh, I'm glad we can laugh about that, man.
Definitely have to laugh. Enjoy. He was a great man.
Yeah.
And he, like I said, he lived in Orlando.
Yeah.
So he was always like, hey. And the interesting thing about him, I said this on my podcast before, but he was the first person to introduce me to video games.
Oh, okay. Is Orlando is it even a real city? Or is it just amusement park town?
Amusement park town.
Yeah, man. And a little basketball.
Yeah. It's every time I've went there, it's literally a tourist trap now.
Yeah,
all
that's
you
the
see
thing.
Is shops and shops and shops and outlets and outlets. My wife loves going there.
Yeah. Yeah, us too, man. My wife and I got married in Fort Lauderdale, and then we drove a car to Orlando and spent 3 weeks in Orlando. It was just so amazing. I tell you, coming from here, because it's minus 25 outside. It's cold as hell. It's super dry. That's why my skin is all pink and my hands flake off and everything. It's awful. And we went down there we were in Florida for a month, and we realized we could breathe. My sinuses are all awful. And I got headaches and everything. It's the air here sucks. What the hell? Canada's supposed to be clean air, but then you're sitting by the water, and I want to be by space, which is NASA. So I like being all up in there. Spent a couple days in Cape Canaveral, which was amazing. Anyways, I don't even know how I got on this. You're talking about being on this show podcast. Yeah, man. So get on to play some video games. What do you got coming up? Because you're also doing Black History Month on the Delvin Cox Experience. Can you talk about people who you might be having on the show in this month of yours?
Yeah, let me bring it up. Who I'm having on the show?
Okay.
So I want to.
You had Joey Craig on.
Do I get him on?
You had him. The Skyward King.
Yeah, I had him on. I also have on D-Spin 67.
Oh, no way!
Yes.
I love that a name pops up like that. And I'm like, Married to the Games again. That's right. Oh, dude, that's awesome. Okay, who else you got?
And I think for the final week, this is cool. I just interviewed him last night, and I was very excited, very nervous to do it. His name is Rodney Barnes.
Okay.
Now you may not know him from his name, but he was a writer on. You ever watched Marvel's Runaways?
I did. I had watched the premiere when I was in Toronto, actually.
He wrote that.
Come on.
Not only that, you ever watch the cartoon show The Boondocks?
Yeah. Oh, no way.
He wrote that.
Okay, now we're talking. That is amazing.
And now he writes Falcon, the comic book for Falcon, for Marvel.
Holy crap, that is awesome, dude. Congratulations. That's a good get.
Yeah, he's a good guy, man. I enjoyed talking to him about everything. And It was awesome.
Oh, nice. So people can find that all over iTunes and SoundCloud and everything like that?
It's iTunes, SoundCloud. Oh, I almost forgot one person I interviewed. I interviewed my guy Dre from According to Sources podcast at ETMF. Mm-hmm. Good guy. Great guy. Had a great conversation with him.
Nice, man. I like that you just kind of like pile these away. Like you kind of just like power through and then you put them in the can and release them every week. It's smart, dude. That's awesome.
The reason why I do that is because I always look when you interview somebody, I always want the interview to try to be timeless.
Yep.
Like if you were to come 20 years from now, listen to it, I'm like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. It's still relatable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Well, what I could do is I can just replay all these interviews next February. Yeah, I would never do that.
Well, like you said, you're gonna go back and listen to the first episode of my podcast, Backdrop podcast. So if you were to go back, you'll hear a lot of crazy things on those.
I love it. Well, part of it too is just like figuring out how to podcast. So you couple that with like that kind of topic. That's crazy, man. Yeah. I love it. So before we wrap things up, I gotta know we gotta bring it back in video games just for a second. What you playing? I gotta know what you're playing.
Finally trying to beat Horizon Zero Dawn right now. Because I had a horrible year last year in terms of gaming wise. Mm-hmm. I bought every game and beat almost none of them.
Yeah, right? It was a little too ADD last year. It was like, oh, there's something else. And oh, there's something else over here. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. It was horrible. Like, I didn't finish. So, like, right now I'm trying to beat all the games I didn't finish last year. Mm-hmm. Like,
do you think being somebody who hasn't beaten Horizon just yet, if somebody spoiled it for you, would you think that's uncalled for, or you think you're out of spoiler territory?
I wouldn't care.
You wouldn't care?
Nah.
Oh, I would
Spoilers
care.
never really bother me.
But you're about to finish it.
Spoilers never really bother me because it's about the experience and the journey.
Speaking of Black History Month, one of the best characters in that game. One of my favorite, this guy, I don't even know his name, but he's starting to show up in a lot of video games. I
know what you're talking about.
He was in Quantum Break as well.
He's in Quantum Break, yeah. Mm-hmm. He was on Heroes.
He was on Heroes. Yes. I kept saying to Chelsea, because Chelsea's playing the game, like we're playing side by side. She played it first, and I'm like, oh, it's the Haitian again. She's like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, let me dust off my HD DVD box set of Heroes, and I will show you the Haitian, man. That guy was awesome. Good call.
Yeah, just like just now that you mentioned it, you ever heard the show This Is Us?
Oh, I can't with This Is Us.
Yeah, I never watched it.
Yeah.
But I guess something big happened on the show, and they showed, I'm looking at the commercial like, that's Peter from Heroes.
No. Oh, yeah. He's the dad. I know.
Like, should I watch the show? Because it's Peter from Heroes.
When I hear his name, I think of Hiro, the character, the Japanese guy, and he always said his name really particularly that I'm not going to. Yeah, you go for it. I just don't.
Hero was awesome.
Yeah, man. Oh God, that show. What happened to it? I remember just ignoring it because I'm like, what an X-Men ripoff, and then I watched him like, save the cheerleader, save the world. I am in. Yes, this Heroes show is amazing.
That time in TV was some of the best TV I used to ever watch.
Thank you.
It was Heroes, 24,
Lost.
Mm-hmm. It was so many good shows.
Yes. Okay. We are brothers now. We are TV brothers, man, because everybody's saying that we're going to piss people off here, I think. People are saying this is the golden age of TV. I don't know, man. I was locked to every Monday we had people coming over for 24, and you can't. This is golden age because there's tons of stuff, but you don't have the week-to-week stuff anymore.
Yeah.
That's too bad. Where can people find you all over the internet, Mr. Delvin Cox?
On Twitter, Delvin_Cox. And if you want to listen to the podcast, it's based on every podcast service. iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play.
Player FM.
The Delvin Cox Experience.
Sure, man.
Player FM.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, dude. This was so much fun. And we got to talk about, I don't even know. I would say 17 different topics.
Yeah,
I want to go for at least 15. So we did it.
I liked it because we just had a conversation like friends.
Yeah, man. Just have a cup of coffee. That's the thing. Like you're like, I'm ready to go. I'm like, I absolutely need the coffee. This is just part of the experience. This is for me. This is part of the Sean Capri experience. It's gotta have even on the Xbox Drive. I can't start the show without going through the freaking drive-through. I gotta go to McDonald's drive-through and get my coffee. Anyways, thanks, man. Thanks for doing this. This is awesome.
Definitely, man.
There you have it, Delvin Cox. Don't go anywhere, by the way. Don't shut it off. We're gonna give away a game. You might want to know what it is, although you've probably seen it in this show. Just, let's just get right into it. Life is Strange is the giveaway this week. It's in the show notes. It's everywhere. It's yours if you just jump on it. Life is Strange, all the episodes 1 through 5, the first season. It's there. So thank you for listening. That's a thank you gift from me to you, and thank you to Delvin for being on the show. And just what an awesome dude, man. What a great chat. I hope you guys like that. The music, if you like that, was Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, Through the Mirror and Back from ocremix.org. Thank you guys all for subscribing, hitting the thumbs up if you haven't already, and rating us on iTunes and all the other stuff that you do. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Sean Capri, Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. The website is We the Nerdy, the podcast, We the GamerCast, as you know. Please, if you haven't, check out the Xbox Drive. Even if you don't like Xbox, especially if you don't like Xbox. There's probably more people who don't like Xbox than there are people who like it. So check that out. It's on iTunes and everywhere else, so you can check. That comes out every Thursday. And please consider supporting us on patreon.com/makeusbetter. That's why this is a video. That's why next show is going to be Joey Craig coming back. We're going to have Blessing Adeoye also come back. This is going to be an amazing 6-episode month, all crammed into February. It's all thanks to you guys and your support and pushing us at patreon.com/makeusbetter. If you've thought about it and you haven't got to it, today would be a great day to go ahead and do that. Thank you to our artists, Gary Gray and Adam Leonard, our video designer, Antonio Guillen. And remember, this is powered by the Dayspace Network of Podcasts, where you can find the Xbox Drive. Living Room Clutter is over there. What else? The Gaming Gurus is on there as well. Not this week. We're taking a break from the Gaming Gurus this week. Not feeling so great, some of us. Not that has anything to do with last week. We're fine. Bobby and I are totally fine. We've been through this sort of thing before. One of my dogs just I don't know if that came through the mic. I feel like somebody just dove down the steps. Are you good? You okay? I think he's okay. Otherwise, this is episode 129 of We the GamerCast. It's now in your ears and your eyeballs. Thank you again for listening. I'll be back next week. I hope you're there too. Now it's time for Jason. Jason! It's Jason.
Jason! 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 Sean! 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 Sean, where are you? Jason! 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 Sean! 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 Jason! 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 Jason!